Right, perfect. So there's a reason why Jens and I made this ebook. Jens did most of the work. Shout out to Jens. It's because there's a lot of valuable information in there. We speak about trading plan, we speak about psychology. The full system is all explained in this ebook. Now, one of the most important things is a 2-day pullback. And here in this ebook, you will see why you'll see explained why we're looking for a 2-day pullback and what's important. And one of these things is the average pip count of the pullback, right? So for example, we have CAD JPY over here from yesterday, right? CAD JPY has an average pip count of 180 to 200 pips. If you look at this, we could have actually, give me a second, we could have actually taken the setup if there was a really nice M. Personally, I didn't really like it, but like this, there was this arrow. It was in the morning. So it's my mistake as well, guys. Anyway, it would have been a break even, so it doesn't really matter. Now, if you have the pip count, you still need the M, okay, guys? So don't get me wrong. It's not because you have the pip count, you don't have to do anything. So the 3-step simple system, guys, really easy. First of all, you check the nose, then you have the dark shade. Do the pullback. Pullback cool, that's not what I mean, it's pullback. And then the M/W. Amazing. Now, do we have a dark shade? It's an important thing. This is GBP AUD. We do have a dark shade. Do we have a 2-day pullback? We don't have a 2-day pullback, but if you look at the average pip counts, you won't see GBP AUD standing in this written down over here. That's because we don't have this data of every single pair. These are just the most traded pairs. But as you guys can see, AUD pairs and GBP pairs tend to have around 200 and 220 pip pullback count. Now you see this one, the GBP JPY is 290 to 320. That's because it's a JPY pair. But if you're not sure, just don't take it again. And then you have this. Personally, I'm not taking it, guys. I'm just waiting for a little more. But because we don't have the exact pullback pip count data of this pair, I'm not about to be guessing. I only trade with what I know for sure. Where is this line thing going? Okay, perfect. So you have a pullback, but not a full 2 days, so I'm waiting a little bit. Well, we do have this W, right? It's not clean. We do have this W. So personally, I'm not taking it. It does look like a really clean setup. If you look at the pip counts of the most of the GBP pairs, it's quite okay. But like I said, we don't have the exact data of GBP AUD about the pullback and pip counts. So I'm waiting for a 2-day pullback just to be sure. Next, we have USD CAD. USD CAD, we don't have an average pip count, which is okay. We do have I almost have a too late pullback. You could look at it like this. As you guys can see, price retraced back to this high. Made a higher high a little bit. Yep. And then it almost made another 2-day pullback. Now, even if it was a 2-day pullback, I would not take this one because as you guys can see, it did not make the W. Would like to see price do this. Or what I believe that might happen is price just going down a little more, like right about here, and then make the W. If that would happen, I would definitely go in. But if there's a W forming about here and you get another arrow, that would also be a nice confirmation. What do you have next? AUDJPY. Oh. AUDJPY. Let's have a look on the Sci-Fi ebook. We don't have AUDJPY. Ah, we do. It's 220 pips average pullback. What do we have? We have 285 pips of pullback, which is more than enough. Do we have a clean M, guys? Leroy says no. Orion says no. It's not a clean M, guys. So it's not a clean M. I know some people might see it as a clean M, but you see this body being higher than this body. I know some people look at the break of structure with only the bodies, and I really look at the wicks when I look at structure. So this M would be actually like this. It's not the cleanest. Again, some people might have taken it. Personally, I'm not taking it. I'm starting to get really picky, guys. I really am. But if you go down on the 15 minutes, we also have an M, but it's not a clean one as well. I do see it going down though, but according to the rules, we should not take this trade, so we're not taking it, guys. You guys are learning to be really patient, right? With the sci-fi. You guys hopping here on the call, hoping that I'm gonna say, take this one, take this one, and the only thing I'm telling you guys is to not trade. So many boring trading calls. Cat CHF also has a pullback. Let me have a look if we have this over here. We don't. We don't have the M, so I'm not gonna look at the pullback. NZDJPY. So there's an arrow forming actually. We want the 170 average pip count pullback. We definitely have that. Look at this. 250 pips. What I would love to see with NZDJPY is that also this happens again. So I've seen these plays play out before, but what I personally would love to see is that price does this, makes another high, and then goes down. That will be the perfect scenario. All right, guys. Perfect. So we do have news today, so watch out for unemployment claims today. Oh, NZDJPY just painted this arrow, AUDCHF also. AUDCHF, same thing. Would love to see this. and then go down. Yeah, it's a nice pullback though. But watch out for the news today. We have news in at 2:30 in today. It's unemployment claims, so the market can move a little bit. Personally, if you're trading like AUD, CHF and stuff, don't worry too much. Just keep an eye on your trades, and if you feel like you're in profit enough, you can always take partials and go break even. All right, so without further ado, I'm gonna give the word to Jens. Maybe one more thing, guys. If you're trading like the 50-minute and the 5-minute, you can always look at these average pullbacks as well, right? Make sure that you have your M and your W. But if you have this average pullback count and you see a perfect M forming on the 15-minute, you could have a nice opportunity to have a nice play over there. But without further ado, I'm gonna give the word to Jens. He's gonna do the third part of the boot camp today. Like I say every single morning, he's been here with us for the last 5 years. And we're super grateful to have him on the call. So drop some fire or some love in the chat for Jens, please. I'm not gonna unmute him if nobody drops some hearts in the chat yet.
Jens, 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 Jens.
Let's go. All right, guys. That's more like it. Where is he at? Jens. I'm gonna make you host, Jens. Ah, perfect. So take the stage, man. Take the stage.
All right. Can you all hear me? I was like, you're forgetting that I can't speak. You gotta make me co-host first, but you were just playing around. No, thanks, Maxime, for opening up the call, sharing your insight on the trades that we have open right now, the arrows that just popped. So that's great stuff. And yeah, some are pretty close to being valid. But I believe the exact same thing is that some of these JPY pairs, we want to see another leg before of the M before we enter, but they might just take off. You never know, and that's a part of what we do, right? So yesterday we talked about objective trading system. We gave some action steps. Let me know in the chat who took action already on the action steps that you got. Put a 1 or a 2 or something, whatever in the chat. Yes, cool. Amazing. That's great to see. Because if you don't take action with the action steps we give, then there's no point of really, hopping on and trying to learn, right? A lot of people think trying to learn is just watching and learning and sitting in the classroom. And I gotta tell you, that's not what it is. Trying to learn is really trial and error of trying and learning. Okay, so you gotta try. But anyway, we talked about the the objective trading system, and it's another word for trading plan, right? So those that are more familiar with trading, those that are not new, you know what your trading plan is. Now we like to call it an objective trading system because we follow a proven system where no discussion should be possible, right? It's the step or it's not, it's the M or it's not, it's the W or it's not, it's a 2-day pullback or it's not. And of course, you can always become a little more advanced. You can always be a little more aggressive, a little more conservative. There will always be a different style. There will always be a different, trading is always unique, but we want to have it as close as possible for every single one of you so that we're taking the same trades based on the same data, and getting the same results. Okay, because then we know it's duplicatable, and then we know whatever Maxim can do, Hans can do as well. Whatever Leroy can do, Mr. Blue can do as well, right? So that's very important. Now, this was the first part yesterday where what we talked about is the objective trading system, that it's very important to get your emotions out the way. Today I want to talk about how we can manage our risk correctly, and that's also to get our emotions out the way. Because 95, most people say 90, in my opinion, 95% of trading is really getting out of these emotions and making sure that you're just thinking straight while you're looking at the markets, right? So let me share my screen and I'll briefly go over this. So the first thing you want to know is you don't need that many wins to be profitable. Okay. So let's take a look. What's important with risk management is realizing you can lose more often than you win and still be profitable. Okay. This is, just going to call it risk management system. There are a few components that are very, very key. Your max risk is something that's very key. Okay. Your risk to reward ratio is key. And then, of course, your accuracy is also very important. So, the first thing, max risk. What's key when you look at your max risk? You need to know what is my risk per trade. Okay. So, for example, this can be a 1, 2, 3%. You choose whatever the risk is per trade, but it should always be the same. Because if I risk 1% on this trade and I lose, or no, let's say I risk 1% on this trade and I win, I make 2%, right? But then if I risk 3% on the next one and I lose, now I'm down 1%. That's not how it's supposed to go. Okay. So you pick a certain percentage and you stick to that. And every week or every month you can modify if you feel like it, but I would say just stick to it. We have stuck for the last, we have stuck to 2% for the last how many months? 6, 7 months since we started the track record on Sci-Fi. I'm just gonna do some of the drawings right here, since Sci-Fi likes to kick me out sometimes. Okay, so first thing we're gonna talk about is max risk. So you know the risk per trade, but you also want to know your risk per day, because you want to start your day and know exactly what's the worst case that can happen. Okay, the reason why you want to know these things is, first of all, so you know what numbers to put in, you know, your lot size and stuff like that, but mostly so you know, and you can emotionally detach, you can already agree with losing that percentage. Okay, so let's say you, for example, risk 2% on a trade. And let's say you're like, okay, if I lose 3 trades in a day, then I'm done. So the example there can be, okay, 6%. So, or 3 losses, for example, right? Depending on how you want to trade. If I have a partial loss, I'll count that as a full loss in terms of my risk per day. So if I lose 2% on one trade and then I lose 1% on the other because we have to close out with news, and then I lose 2% on another trade, now I'm down 5%. My risk management plan says, hey, I can risk 6% a day. So maybe I should take another trade with 1% because I still have 1%. I'm not doing that. Okay. So you just want to know and eliminate all possibilities, but you want to know when you are taking another trade and when you don't. And then one of the most important, in my opinion, is risk per week. So for example, this can be saying 10%, right? And this is pretty aggressive. I know you can do whatever you want, right? You can do however you want, whatever you want. But for me, this is the numbers that I like. Okay. So now you know your max risk, your worst case scenario. And what you're gonna do is, if you have €1,000 on the account in the beginning of the week, You're going to write it out. You're going to talk in the mirror. You're going to do whatever you need to do to agree with yourself, make it an agreement with yourself. Like, hey, I am okay and I'm happy. I'm grateful that by the end of the week, when I follow my plan, worst case, my 1,000 euros on the account will be 900 euros. Okay. I am okay. I'm happy. I'm grateful that by the end of the day, worst case, my trading account will be 940 euros. I'm happy and grateful, but by the end of this trade, that worst case, my account will be 980 euros, right? So now I'm just translating these percentages into numbers and emotionally agreeing with whatever that can happen. Okay. Now, what comes with this is that you also want to have your max profit. Because if you have a lot of risk and you take a lot of losses, what do people tend to do? They get fearful, right? Fear is never a good emotion to have. But what happens when you make all the profit? You think you are you think you're doing whatever, but you get greedy, right? So very important is also max profit per trade. Because when you're running in profit and you're almost at TP2 and it's going pretty fast, you're like, whoever moved their take profit a little higher, let's get the take profit off and I'll just manually watch it. I'll manually watch it and then, it's going to go further. You don't want to do that. That's not your plan, right? So you want to make sure that you have the max profit per trade, which is 4%. For example, right? If you're trading 2% risk, this will be, with our trading plan, this will be 4%. Now, the max profit per day is also a thing. Per day, this could be, let's say you have 3 wins, right? 3 wins is 12%. A trailing TP. It is a trailing TP. That's cool. Some traders trade with that, and it can work phenomenally good. Trailing TP, trailing stop loss. But if you're trading sci-fi and you're doing trailing TP, then either you're super advanced and using it with another strategy, and then you're good, which probably is Irena's case. But if anyone else is doing that, I know you're trading emotionally, right? So max profit per day, let's say you have 3 wins, okay, then quit. Then just let it be. There is no point in even trying to make more than 12% within a day. There's no point in even trying that. And then let's say max profit per week. For me, this example is 24. 24%. If you have 2 of these days, the 2 best days to trade are Wednesday and Thursday, and sometimes we'll have just 3 good setups on each of these days. I'm up 24% of that week. I'm done, And then people say, yeah, but what if there is an A plus times 10 plus setup? I don't care. Because every time you go in the market, you make a financial decision, right? Every time you go in the market, you put your capital at risk. And if you're up 24%, then what if? Don't care. So this is important with risk management. That's the max amount of risk. So now the essence of this, I don't want to go too long over this, but why do we do this? The only reason we do this is to detach emotions by mentally agreeing with both sides of this story. Okay? That's the only reason. We just want to detach our emotions by mentally agreeing whatever happens, happens. And I'm happy, I'm grateful, it's all good. Okay. If you have any other way to mentally agree, cool. If you don't need to mentally agree and you're just like, hey, I'm always just following my plan, cool. But this is what helped me to really make sure that I know exactly and that I feel like I have some sense of control. There are so many variables in the market that are uncontrollable, and now you feel like you have some sense of control because, okay, I know what's going to happen worst case, I know what's going to happen best case. I don't know the exact number, but it will land somewhere in between, and I'm okay with that. I'm not emotionally involved. And you can speak that out loud. You can write that down. You can print out a contract with yourself that you sign every single week. Just do what you have to do to be able to detach emotionally and mentally agree on whatever can happen will happen. Okay. Now, of course, the most important part about this is the big if. Okay. This is only if you follow your plan. So it's key to follow your plan. Okay. Now, the second thing that we talked about, or that I want to talk about, is the risk to reward. Okay. So risk to reward ratio, right? Why is risk to reward ratio important? Let me know in the chat. Yeah, Andre, 24% is more than a top fund in a year. That's probably more than most investments, do in multiple years. So why is risk to reward so important? I'm curious to see. Yeah, risk to reward is very important because, and it goes together with the third thing, which is accuracy. So I'm going to combine these two. Now, risk to reward, it gives you the opportunity to lose more often. So not more amount, but lose more often than you win and still make money. What I mean by that, let's say you have a risk to reward of a 1 to 2. Cool. If I lose 5 trades, now I lost 5, right? I lost 5 of my stop losses. Let's say this can be 5 times 1%, right? This can be 5 times 2%. This can be 5 times 3%. It doesn't matter. That's why it needs to be the exact same risk for every single trade. So let's say you do -5 because you lose 5, but you win 5 trades. Now you do +10 because every time you win the double of the amount as if when you would lose, right? So now at the end of the week, you have 10 trades in. Cool, you're still up 5%. This is where accuracy comes in. Is, with sci-fi, we're about 83% accurate, right? So if you look at that, let's say you have 10 trades, you win 8. This is +16 in terms of risk to reward that you realized, right? And then you lose 2. This is -2 in terms of the risk to reward that you realized. At the end of those 10 trades, you're still up 14%, right? Which is super, super powerful. And the last example I'm going to give is, let's say you have 10 trades and you lose over half. So you lose more than half of these trades. Let's say you have only 4 wins, right? 4 wins. That's 8. That's +8 in terms of your risk to reward, right? Then you do 6 losses. That's -6. Now at the end of the week, you are still up 2%, which is still insane if you put that into a compound calculator. Okay. So this is really key to know. Those things are very, very important. I'm gonna make this a little smaller. Yeah. So we talked about risk management. you know, we talked about the risk to reward ratio, the accuracy. You can win, but you can lose over half of the trades. So let's say you do sci-fi with the strategy we have. Let's say you lose all the trades that we lose. Okay, so the 2 out of 10 you always lose, but then half of the trades we win, somehow you manage to lose these as well. Okay, so now you lose 2, but then out of the 8 that we win, you lose 4 of these as well. I don't know how you're gonna do it, but let's say you do. Now you have 6 losses, 4 wins. You will still be making 2% up to for every 10 trades. And this is, of course, with 1% of risk. If you do 2% risk, this will be a 4% profit. If you do 3% risk, this will be 6% profit. So it depends on what your risk analogy will be. Okay. But you don't want to go and risk crazy amounts. Because if you risk, let's say 20% of your account, you will need to make 25% to make it back. That's another thing I want to go a little deeper in. Like if you risk 10%, 20% of your account, let's say you lose 20%. I'm gonna put that right here. So let's say you have 100 euros. Cool. Lose 20. Where are we now? If you lose 20, not 20M. Lose 20, you end up with 80 euros, right? Now, if you want to go from 80 to 100, now you need 25% to go back to break even, right? Let's say you lose 50% of your account. I just want to give some examples so you guys see the power of this. Lose 50%. Now you have 50 euro. Now you need 100% to go back to break even. You're not even making profit. And it takes you double the amount to just be at 0 again. Not at 0, but at your starting capital. Right? This is so important to know, guys. This is so important. If you lose 90% of your account, you need to make 1,000 to make it back. So don't go out and lose 90% of your account because you're probably not going to make 1,000. Losing 90% of your account is not that hard. Making 1,000%, that's going to be a challenge. It'll probably take you more than a year, right? With the right risk management, the right everything. And then you're just at break even. That's not what you want to do, right? That's definitely not what you want to do. So this is very important to know. And that's why you only want to risk 1, 2, maybe 3%. I know some of you are aggressive going towards 4 and 5, but I would never go over that. Okay. I'll never do that. Because once you lose 10, you need to make 12 to make it back. Once you lose 20, 25 to make it back, right? So that's more of the way of thinking there. Okay. To protect your capital. Okay. Trading is about protecting the capital you have, not making as much as you want, right? That's what trading really is about. So this is the risk management system, and the action step I want to give you with this is you want to make a full objective trading system, just as if you have your confirmations and your trading plan, but with your risk management. Okay. So let's say, what if you are in 3 trades and there is a 4th one? Are you taking the 4th one? Yes or no? Personally, I do not. If I'm in 3 trades and all of those 3 trades can still go to stop loss, so I'm not break even yet, or I didn't take profit, then I'm not going in the other one. Okay, let's say you have multiple trades on JPY. So your trades correlate. What do we do in the track record? We divide our risk. So let's say GBP, JPY, it gives a trade and it's bearish. Euro JPY gives a trade, it's also bearish. The chances of those both trades going the same direction is pretty high. So I'm not going to risk 2% on each of them. I'm going to see that as one analysis. Okay. It's not one analysis, but in terms of my risk, it is. So those are things you want to think about, right? So again, that you can go into the markets and not have to think, because once you're in the markets, you're emotional. You want to have your plan beforehand. The army, before they go to war, they make a plan. They're not brainstorming in the middle of fire, you know? They make the plan before and then they go out and fight. This is the same. You want to make a plan before and then you want to go out and execute. And no matter what happens, you execute. Okay? That's basically the same. So action step, I'm gonna write it out for you guys. Action step. Write out your full risk management objective system. Okay, or objective risk management system. Maybe that sounds more like a word that would exist. There you go. So that you know, oh, wait, once this trade is break even and I have 2 other trades running, I can take a third one if needed. But that you know beforehand. Okay, if I take 3 losses or minus 6%, I'm done for the day. If I take, what was the week? Week was 10%, 5 losses in a week or minus 10%, done for the day. What if I take 5 losses and 2 wins? Am I done for the week or not? You know, those are things you want to determine before you go in. Now, of course, it's not going to happen too often that you're going to have like 5 losses, 7 wins, and whatever in the same week. That's not going to happen that often, but it's key to have it so that when it happens, you're prepared. When it happens, you can get the most out of it. And then when it happens, you have your objective trading system, you have your objective risk management system. Now you know exactly what to do and how to do it, and you just have to simply execute. Okay? I was going to go over trading plan today as well, but we might do that tomorrow because that's going to take another like 10 to 15 minutes at least. I want to go deeper or deep enough into it. I would say make sure to keep an eye on the trades that are being called in sci-fi. Okay, we see a lot of great stuff that's happening. This one is dropping heavily, so that's good for those that are in. This one is doing basically the same thing, so that's great. Yeah, this is looking good. This is the only one that I was looking into. I do look at the wicks, so for me the wick is a point that's interesting. But I agree with Maxime that or for me wicks is a point of market structure, but I like it more when it's the other way around. I like it more when the closure is down too. And if we talked about the 2-2-2 rule yesterday, you have 2 up, you have 2 down, you have 2 up, you have 2 down. So it's a bit squishy, but it's there. So this was pretty interesting in my opinion. But yeah, this is basically what we're looking at for today. I would say keep your eye on this, and then we'll see how we can go from there. Cool. We'll see each other again tomorrow, same time, same place. And then we'll go deeper into the trading journal. And I also want to go into scaling your account, but that takes some time as well. So we might have to prolong this bootcamp to next week. We'll see how that goes. All right. See y'all tomorrow. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.